Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk a little bit today about new moons and full moons. Um, we just got done with one yesterday. We had a full moon. It was early in the morning this time, so it was like 4:30 in the morning yesterday. But nonetheless, it said that new moons and full moons are typically send their energy out up to a week before and a week after, but typically it's usually about 3 or 4 days, give or take, depending on the person and how sensitive they are and stuff, that it truly is strongly effective. Um, this last one though, I can't remember if it was I think it was in Aries, if I recall, and it was quite a bit different than our normal ones that we have had recently. And so this one I know my aunt, my student Miranda, and a couple other people that I know, including myself, had some kind of unusual um, experiences with this one as far as feeling really down and cold and depressed, just kind of feeling alone and separated and just not ourselves or any connection to anyone whatsoever and stuff. And this wasn't really a normal um, emotional thing that we have or anything. It's not like we were clinically depressed or anything. It's purely, in my opinion at least, I think it was almost purely due to the fact of the new moon. Because as soon as the new moon came in yesterday, I woke up. I instantly started to feel different. Not necessarily 100% better, but definitely different than I was the 2 or 3 days beforehand, where I was kind of down in the dump and um, feeling gloomy and stuff, and like nothing mattered in my life. I didn't have any interests. I didn't want to do anything. Everything was just boring and dull to me, and life was just kind of dead. Um, but yesterday, when the full moon finally came in, um, and it was in full power, I woke up and I basically had this sense that something was. I've kind of had this feeling all week, but I mean for the last week. But I've had this feeling that at least with me, I am. I kept on getting a feeling that I was close to a breakthrough, but wasn't quite there, and had a couple of things left to do before I could break through the limits and stuff. And I kept on feeling that no matter how much work I did and stuff. And so I kept on doing more and more. I basically did it for about 2 weeks straight without any kind of um, rest or relaxation or anything else. I was basically the last 2 weeks, I was just secluded most of the time in my place and focused purely on this, just 24/7, every single day the past 2 weeks. And yesterday, when the full moon finally came in, I had tons of release because I kept on feeling um, like there is this, what's the word I want? Um, this longing to break through some of the thoughts and emotions and stuff I've carried for so long, and that um I came into when I was a kid and stuff. And so it was some childhood traumas and um things that I grew up with and stuff that were starting to kind of boil to the top and come out finally. And one of them for me personally was me questioning my abilities and skills and stuff as far as being able to teach more people and have more students, because I love having my student Miranda. I talk to her daily all the time, and we do a lot of work and stuff together and a lot of channeling and whatnot. But I gotta admit that I love it, but I'm also scared um, if I have especially a group of people, instead of working one on one, because I tend to be a very, I like very deep and personal experiences and connections and stuff with people, not just like a big group that's kind of just casually going at it and whatnot. And so I do a lot better typically if it's one on one with people. But I also want to do some kind of um, group seminar is not the right word, but like a get together or something that people do, both energetic and spiritual purposes. But up until today, I was kind of hesitant because I was wondering, am I a good enough teacher? Do I have the necessary skills? You know, because no matter how good you are at something, it's a whole nother level that it takes it to when you try to teach somebody else, especially if they have no um, past experience or knowledge about it and stuff. And so it's especially when it comes to energetic or spiritual, metaphysical stuff that's not physical, because as soon as you put words to it or try to explain it, it's going to shift it and kind of most likely create some confusions and whatnot with the person. And so I kept on doubting myself about that. But yesterday with the film Moon, it basically just released everything, brought it all up, and I mean, I probably spent like 2, 3 hours yesterday, honestly, crying, letting everything out, and it just felt so good to release everything and finally just accept it. Really, accepting and acknowledging, in my opinion, are two of the hardest parts. Letting go, I think, in my opinion, I think it, or I view it as coming after you acknowledge something and accept it for what it is and as a part of you. And then afterwards, you know, after it's up and after you acknowledge it, um, you can kind of take it and throw it in the trash now and let it go and move on. But until you do that, um, I don't think the letting go part really comes in. And therefore, I think the first part with acknowledgement is can be very scary no matter how much you work on it and have done it. Like I've done intense training for the past 6 years and basically been in solitude probably 70% of the time the past 6 or 7 years while I've been doing training and stuff just on my own. Um, and whatnot. And yet it's still incredibly hard to do. You know, it's not something that comes easy or necessarily gets any easier. It does in the sense that I I definitely have more confidence and experience now and can use that to remind myself that I can get through it no problem. You know, I got to shut off the doubts and stuff in my mind and the negative thoughts. But other than that, it's not like I haven't gone through harder stuff before, and therefore, um, it's not like I can't get through this also. And I put myself through so much that it's not like I haven't learned to control my energies and my body and other things, at least to a point where if I just essentially get my mind straight, then I can get my body and my energy straight too, and therefore figure out what the issue is and get through it, and then become stronger afterwards for it and for letting it go. And therefore, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance, in my opinion, of the new moon and full moon. Um, I think there's some people that talk about it that I do follow on YouTube, but I don't think it's um, as big of a situation, or not situation, but as big of a thing as it really is to people. Because whether we're aware of our physical bodies or not and our emotions, they're affected. The reason that the element of the motion is water is because um, 70% of our body is water, and water is affected by the moon. And depending on where it is in the sky and stuff, it can fluctuate the ocean and any kind of bodies of water and stuff, including our own. And therefore, um, full moons and new moons, especially full moons, tend to have a strong energetic and emotional effect on us. And that's why you hear people saying, "Oh, it's a full moon. Be careful of people. They're going to be crazies out and stuff." And if you ask, if you know any kind of cop and they work on full moons, you'll definitely hear um, numerous stories about crazy people on full moon nights and it just being just crazy busy and stuff. And that's because people don't know, well, in my opinion, they don't know anything about their body whatsoever, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, or energetically. And therefore, they're never aware of what's going on in their body. And therefore, they don't have any ability to um, navigate these things and use them as a benefit instead of a um, detriment. And because of that, it's one thing that I want to help people become more aware of and use in a very positive and beneficial way, because it's one, a natural effect. Obviously, the moon is one of the most important um, things in our to us humans and animals in general on the earth and stuff, and affects all of us deeply on many levels. But also just the fact that, like I was saying, we're 70+% water. It means that our bodies, not just emotional but physical bodies too, change a lot during the full and new moons. And therefore, if you pay attention to it, you can get a lot done, especially when it comes to new moons and letting go and moving on from past limitations and situations and thoughts and other things that were holding you back before, because it allows you, new moons specifically are about letting go and starting new things and new beginnings and stuff, um, like we just had yesterday. And therefore, it's a great time to start new projects or start new, if you want to start some meditation or some shadow work or whatever. um, it's a great time for that, and it's a great time for letting go. And there's no doubt in my mind that if you truly let go of stuff that's been holding you back and bothering you and creating fear and doubts in your mind and stuff, it's just gonna feel so amazing and so refreshing and just freeing, in my opinion, to let go of it finally. And part of it, I think, is just the fact that we have to be um, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and be able to outwardly admit, um, in my opinion, I think it's if you can admit and acknowledge things that are harming you or holding you back or creating limitations or whatever, if you can admit them to people that you're close to, excuse me, that um, you have a strong connection to you and you trust, and that obviously won't judge you or beat you down or anything for it, and will help encourage you to let it go and make more progress, then I think the more people that you tell, the easier it will eventually be. Because I told my student Miranda, my aunt, my mom, and I think one more person, I can't remember, yesterday, about the fear of having more students and not being able to give them the proper teachings and stuff that I want at the levels that I want and provide everything that's needed for them, since it is a lot of responsibility and it is a lot of work and stuff to do. But by just getting it out in the open and being able to verbally express it to people and stuff, it will undoubtedly start to, um, well, for one, it'll start to feel easier to talk about and accept it and stuff. But two, I think, in my opinion, it also will really do two things. One, it'll help you obviously work on and move forward with it and be able to figure out the best method for yourself to fully let go of it and release it and move on and get stronger. But two, I think by being um, being open with people, especially people that you're close to, but just people in general, I find, whether it's strangers or whoever, if you're open with them 100%, you're honest and you share your vulnerabilities with them. Especially with my student Miranda, she tells me a lot, and I really appreciate her for this because she helps me as a teacher grow a lot too. But she reminds me how when I share these kind of things, it also opens other people up too because they see that you're willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to show your weaknesses and your fears and stuff out to people instead of trying to act like they're not there, ignore them, or hide from it or run from it. And it gives them courage and motivation and hope um, and the willingness to do it themselves too, and um, bring up things that they're struggling with, admit and let go of, release and get stronger and move on to better and bigger things. And so it's not just about you, in my opinion, when it comes to letting go of things and learning new ways to acknowledge aspects of yourself that you're trying to ignore or pretend aren't there or whatever. And since it's not just about you improving, it's about showing others that it's okay to show your vulnerabilities and to open up and be expressive and show them all the benefits and the positive aspects and stuff that have came from it. And in return, they'll obviously just naturally want to follow too and try it and make their lives better also, which in my opinion is just always fun to watch and know that you're helping others better theirs too, especially when they're so excited about it that they just kind of, they're like a kid in a candy store. um, and that's one of my favorite things, is just to see people so fanatic and excited about their lives instead of being so down and gloomy. And it's like when I go on the TriMet, the bus, in public transportation, and it's like everyone is just a zombie and they're dead in their own lives. They have these huge frowns on themselves. They're covered in what just feels like black tar or black energy because they're so wrapped in their own darkness and stuff and think that they can't get out of it and feel stuck, that there's no encouragement, there's no support from others and stuff that they likely feel. And I want to be one of those people personally that can help them both, um, as a student and just my videos in general, to try and um, give my perspective and things that I learned through my own path and my own um, methods I've developed and learned and stuff, and be able to encourage and nurture people so that they can grow and learn too, and in turn help others. So I appreciate you watching my video and very appreciative of everything. Please subscribe and let me know if there's any topics or anything that you want me to talk about. or any things that I do in videos that you want more details on, and I'll be more than happy to do more videos. So I appreciate it, and you have a good